Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time and depending on when you're going to be seeing this video. It's your brother, your boy, Cos Reps Corner. Like I always tell you guys, it's my corner, it's your corner, and it's our corner.
I don't wanna fall in love. I just wanna have some fun, yeah. I don't wanna fall in love.
Is it proper to continue to make an argument that result that you have, that you already have, has not been uploaded into the server of the examination body? When you already have that result, what do I mean by that? This IReV that all of us keep harping on, the political parties, by the law, must have copy of that result before it is uploaded anywhere. I'm not concocting this. Form EC8A is the result sheet in the polling unit, and it is entered manually. When that result is entered, a copy is given to a party agent, another one is given to security, the police. When that is done, you then upload to the IReV. So, by virtue of that, you already have this result. The conclusion of collation and announcement of results ends when the party agents and security have a copy of that result. So, to continue to harp on what is external, because I've given you an example, you wrote the exam, you have seen your score, where you are. The Independent National Electoral Commission made IReV available for academics, for students, for researchers, for people who are interested in election to have data on 2023, on 2019 election. Because if you go back now, for 2007, 2011, people who are researching on Nigerian election cannot find data anywhere in the cloud to do the research. So the politicians themselves, we cannot excuse their not having party agents. They are supposed to do what you call parallel vote calculation by themselves. Today, the results are on IReV. It was not done real time. But as we speak now, and they are in court, they should pull down all the results on the IReV and use the results that their party agents collected to check whether it is recognized. And that is not done on television. You will do the argument in court that the result on the IReV is not what my agents in so and so polling units got, and that will become the basis on which you can get justice or injustice, as the case may be. So the challenge is that the judiciary is being blackmailed by the analysis of elections on television that has no relationship with the actual process of results and election management. And a lot of people are very ignorant about this, and we should be able to put it constantly on IReV. Those who are holding on IReV are holding a straw that is not strong, because your agent already has this result, and it is your responsibility, not my responsibility, not INEC's responsibility, to prove that the result on the IReV is different from what your party agent has. Number two, there are no citizen agents. Citizen agents are not recognized by law. What do I mean? Somebody goes to polling unit and he's not, by law, he should not have a copy of the results. And that is the man you are depending on as your agent, when he has no power by law to get the result. So we have seen in court now that people said they will bring 400, some say they will bring 50. All of you are witnesses, it is live. How many of them have been able to bring agents? And the statistics of parties who have agents is public record. INEC released that days to the election. to say this party has this number of agents across the country, this party has this number of agents across the country. If you were not able to have party agents, you cannot be doing this sophistry around IReV, and we need to put it out there. So it answers your question on disinformation and misinformation. What happens by partisan interest is to color their anger against the outcome of the election on sophistry. What do I mean by that? If I am a member of a political party and I lose election, immediately I lose that election, I will step away from partisanship and begin to talk about, the process. If you check some of the comments that have been made, they say, oh, they have no problem with the outcome, they have problem with the logistical challenges. Logistic challenges in elections are perennial in Nigeria, and the reason is because of our size. The reason is because of the infrastructure deficits that we have in our country. There are places where you need to do 4 hours, 5 hours on motorbikes to reach in our country. There are hard to reach places. Many people talk about internet and say, oh, this result should have been uploaded real life. How many people have taken pains to find out the internet connectivity ratio for our country? How many of our places have connectivity right now as we speak? So the law is crafted in a way that if this cannot be uploaded real life, that you can follow that result to the next place where it is. And mind you, it is only when there is a controversy that you go to IReV. If there is no controversy, if nobody is challenging it, you don't need to go to IReV in the collation center. So all of this is important for us to understand. And Chifana, the challenge about I cannot guess on Chief Olisakwakoba's intention. Hugely respected, made a lot of investment in this democracy. But like I said yesterday also, if you listen to me, we don't believe you just simply because you are Olisakwakoba. We have to believe you on the strength of the knowledge of the process and the context that you are able to put out. 2023 election had a greater logistical challenge because of the cashless policy that we had during that election. We had fuel issues, we have escalated banditry and insecurity. In the light of that, you realize that a lot of INEC officials, like the executive director has said, were also killed. INEC officials were killed, were kidnapped, abducted. They are Nigerians. You cannot explain that away and say, oh, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Those infringements by external issues affected all the processes that INEC has put in place. But even at that, we then now have to look at percentage. If by 11 o'clock, 60% of polling units are opened, what then happened? All of us are living witnesses that in many places, INEC extended the time for voting, even up to the next day in some places, meaning that anybody who wanted to vote was not disenfranchised because of the extension of time. Now we added 93, we extended our voting capacity to 93 million. 87 million people collected the PVC. Only less than 25 million people voted. What does that tell you? If a state like Kano has 6 million votes and it was not able to do 3 million of it, you should know that the BVAS is the game changer. The BVAS is that instrument that took away voter identification theft, meaning that anybody who approached the voting area must be the authentic owner of the PVC. So even if 87 million people have PVC, many of them collected those PVCs for different reasons, for identity card issues, for apathy in the sense that democracy is not working for majority of our people. So many people, but those who came out, politicians ordinarily, where they can manipulate, like dubious advantage. So if they could not manipulate to bring those 6 million to bear, then we should give credit to the BVAS. And every report that I have seen, including ours, CTA, Yaga, European Union, and all, including situation report, says that Rivers worked for 98% in the polling units where it was deployed. 98% is an A plus. So voter accreditation and voting, went on smoothly, and that is a plus, and that is why Faith Wadishi is telling you that the positives for 2023 election is something that we are hiding. In all the comments about the election, nobody talks about that the Rivers worked for 98%, and that data is available on Google. You can Google it yourself. I don't need space. It's not something I'm inventing. Why are we talking about those things that didn't go well and not giving credit for the things that went excellently well? I don't like to talk about outcomes because outcomes are for partisans. I've invested in the process. If the process is good, the outcome can be anything. It is those who are invested in outcomes that don't bother about process, because the only thing that anger them is outcome. If the outcome does not favor them, then the process is not good. Now, there is a continuous call about Nigerians are angry. Many Nigerians are angry. You are correct that many Nigerians are angry. 13 million people voted on the other side. 13 million people who voted did not vote for the winner. And the reason is clear to all those who like to investigate it. Now, 8 million people voted for the winner. If you are doing a perception survey and you are talking to people on the street, you are likely going to meet more of the 13 million people than the 8 million people who voted on the other side. So if you talk to somebody who is angry because his party lost, you cannot impose it on generality of Nigerians. Those 8 million people who also voted on the other side are Nigerians. They are not aliens. They are happy. They are not angry. And there are other people who did not vote who are also on one side or another side. So when you say Nigerians are angry, you are correct. But tell us the number of Nigerians that you talk to that are angry. Don't just say Nigerians are angry. That is unstatistical. And it is something that you cannot defend. What are we saying? Are we saying the 2023 election was without challenges? No. The challenges of those elections need to be put in context. That is what we are saying. Put it in context. And INEC is going to get into a review of the 2023 election like they do after every election. Different stakeholders will be invited to that review. We can make inputs to answer the question that you talked about what next for amendment. What next do we do for amendment? It is a product of that review. And my organization, working with NOA, has already kickstarted a zonal review of the 2023 election. We have done one in Kano, we have done in Enugu. I don't want to share what the outcomes of those reviews are. But the thing I can draw for you is that ignorance is parading as authority when it concerns electoral matters. A lot of people who talk about election are ignorant about the process, the procedures, the guidelines, the law that govern election. That is what those two things that we have done in Kano and Enugu has shown. But what do? We need to intensify civic and voter education. It's very important. And for those of you who have platforms that Nigerians listen to, it is important that when we bring people to our platform, we also are knowledgeable. I like what one of the media organizations was doing during the election. Every presenter had a copy of the Electoral Act. That organization was doing that so that when you talk what is not law, they open it for you and say, this one you are doing. Many of us just allow people to, just talk, and then because it is said on television, majority of Nigerians believe it. There are people who have quoted chapters and verses of the Bible that are not connected with what they are quoting, because nobody took time to go and look at what they quoted. During the election, somebody was making a presentation and said, look, we were not giving for ECH 40. Parties have no necessity from ECH 40. But he said that and got away with it because many people don't even know what EC8 40 is. And they were clapping for him while he was saying that, but he was talking trash, because what parties have access to is from EC8A. Another one came on television and said, oh, the results, this is not, he was stampeding the thing. People were watching, but they didn't bother to say, if you have problems with the result, what should you do? What are the mechanisms that have been put in place for you to make that resolution? So television is a place for grandstanding, is a place for capturing imagination, but knowledge is something that you must invest in and take time out to find out whether even this one that I've said now, everything that I've said, as a journalist, it is your work to cross-check me and find out whether what I have said is faithful or it is rooted in knowledge of the electoral process as we know it. So that emotions does not continue. I know election is an emotional thing. I agree it's an emotional thing. But knowledge should always shut down emotions and ensure that when people make comments, they are making comments that inspires confidence in the electoral process and not the one that causes people to think that what all these efforts that were invested in 2023 was a waste of time. I think that 2023 was a watershed in the sense that BVAS was for us a game changer. And the managers of that election, rather than being excoriated, should be praised for the first and foremost ensuring that that election held. In 2011, we postponed election midstream. Election was already going on when we postponed that election. In spite of all these challenges, the Independent National Electoral Commission went ahead and overcame those obstacles. You will not think that there were not going to be challenges. But what did they do? How did they respond to those challenges? That is where I'm interested in, and that is what I'm happy about. Thank you.